Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Season 2, where we are exploring our galactic origins and becoming multidimensional. I'm your host, Washela Sananda, and it's my pleasure today to introduce our special guest, Krishna Kaur. Welcome, Krishna.
Satnam, thank you.
Satnam. Yes, I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. So to get started, I will just read a little bit about your background and what you do so people know more about you. Krishna Kaur, a dynamic, heart-centered yoga teacher, began studying with Yogi Bhajan in 1970 and has passionately taught the art and science of Kundalini yoga and self-awareness for over 40 years. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience from her teaching in Africa, Mexico, and inner cities throughout the United States. A master teacher trainer of Kundalini yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan, she conducts workshops in Canada, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Krishna is the regional coordinator for 3HO Africa, which unites Kundalini yoga in Africa. Krishna also founded and runs Yoga for Youth, a nonprofit dedicated to training yoga teachers to work with at-risk youth. So that's just some of what you're up to, but really beautiful and amazing things. So thank you for all of that work that you're doing on planet. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It fuels me, it invigorates me, it makes me feel like I have something meaningful to share in this lifetime.
Yes, indeed. So you are, I believe you're the only Kundalini yoga teacher we have, at least so far, on the summit. So I'd love to start with just having you describe what is Kundalini yoga and how would Kundalini yoga be different from other types of yoga, or is it different?
Good question. First of all, it is not different in terms of its intention, its direction, and its focus. The Kundalini speaks to a coil of energy that moves through the spine. As you awaken it, it ends up going through all the chakras to the crown chakra, then into your aura and out into the universe. So it is the aim of all yogas to raise the Kundalini. So in that sense, it is very much like all the other styles of yoga. Probably what sets it apart a little bit is that we combine a lot of different approaches to raising the Kundalini. There's a physical approach where you move the body. And in Kundalini yoga, we do postures, much like they do in other styles of Hatha yoga and so forth. We also do just some very regular, simple movements that have at their focus, activating and stimulating particular glands, organs in the body, isolating them sometimes so that they can get a lot of attention, a lot of movement, and a lot of breath so that they can awaken and release. What we realize is that the body holds the residue of everything we're feeling, everything we're thinking, and everything that we are reacting to. So someplace the body's going to sit on that and say, it wants to contract a little bit there. And so we have Kriyas, which are specifically designed sequences that go from breath to simple movements to postures. Sometimes they're very rapid movements, sometimes they're not. But it's like a recipe, and sometimes the recipe calls for you to do certain things in a certain order in order for the outcome to be what you want it to be. And so Kriya is a very specific order of things, which will allow you to have an experience that will be meaningful. And it's amazingly designed so that you actually end the Kriya feeling, wow, it's not, it doesn't take long to have an understanding of what you just did. Even if you don't know exactly what you did, you did something that was meaningful and important to you. They also focus a lot, I mean a lot, on the breath. I often say that when you're born, the first thing the doctors check to see is if you are breathing. And when you're ready to make your transition, they check to see if you have stopped or finished breathing. So between your first and your last breath, your breath is the guardian of your health. And it shows up in certain signatures when you are feeling stressed, when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling joyful, when you are feeling peaceful. The breath actually reflects that. So when you learn to practice specific breathing techniques, it will help you to drop into that space, even if you're not feeling it at the moment. So when you're feeling uptight or anxious about something, if you know that there's a breath that will help you to shift that frequency and you apply it, it doesn't take long. It takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes maybe. If you're really, really locked into a space, maybe 11. Either way, it's there to serve you. And once you have had that experience, that knowledge, you can use it anytime you want. The next part that we working up to, the body, to the breath, is to the mind. Training the mind to be able to let go. You know, the mind is, they used to say when I was growing up, it's a terrible thing to waste, you know, and yet we waste it all the time. You know, if we're being told that we are using 10% of our human potential, are you okay with that? I'm not okay with that, not at all. I want the full Monty, you know, I want the full 100%, or at least give me 75 or 60, you know. And so by combining these techniques together, we can begin to experience what it's like to be more who you are as a being that responds to the situations that we encounter, but doesn't react to them. And that's a big difference, you know. We have a saying, act, but don't react. Act, but don't react. The body responds differently to reactions, but acting, that's our job. If something shows up in front of you in your life or whatever that's not working for you, act, but don't react, because that reaction will get in the way. It'll clog you up and stop you from being able to even have an idea of what's really is going on, first of all, because sometimes we can perceive things in one way and that's not it. That's not it. That's not what's going on. But unless you can find a place to sit in that stillness, your breath, you won't ever know that. You won't. We've been socialized to react to things based upon our 5 senses, you know. Well, there's another sense called the 6th sense. And that's the sense we want to begin to build so that we can know in an instant what's true and what's not true, and respond accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love how you addressed the mind and the breath and the body, and how we can use the breath to align our mind and settle our body. So is it mostly the breath that you use to teach yourself? Because, you know, as humans, we do react. So are there specific practices that you teach for helping someone when they realize they've been reacting and they want to have some tools to stop that reacting and just get into, okay, I'm going to act, not react? Where would one begin? Do you have a training for that?
Yes, begin right where you are. Just begin right where you are. The first thing you want to do is just to notice. Notice that somehow, whatever this is that's moving through you, that doesn't feel comfortable, that you would like to have it to be different, start there. And even if you just start to slow the breath down, but that means breathing properly, not up here. You know, the lungs are larger down at the bottom of the lungs than they are at the top. And we have been trained through our education to breathe like they do in the military. Attention. And you're not going to get much prana up here. Prana. Prana is the life force. Prana, the life force. You will not get much of it up in the small chambers of your lungs. You want to get it into the lower chambers of your lungs. So you need to learn how and practice. You know, we're a culture that loves to just get things like that. Tell me what to do and I'll do it, you know. But you have to practice, you know. That's what yoga is all about. That's what this summit is all about. Finding a way that you can latch onto something and practice it. There's no miracles here. There are no miracles here. It's just information, technology, and you. If you practice it, you build in a relationship with your breath, you build in a relationship with your body. If your body is tight in some places, it doesn't mean the body's happy there. You know, the body's not happy being tight in some places, but that's how it's going up. So if you want to shift that tightness in that area of your body, what do? You practice doing something that will help the body to learn to let go and allow the energy to flow. And when that happens, a lot of the things that we are reacting to will somehow not shift, but it will affect us a little differently. And that puts us in control of who we are. It puts us in the place where we're not allowing the things outside of us to determine who we are, what our belief system is, and how we are to live or walk through that particular situation. We do that. So specifically, start where you are. Start to breathe. If you were to come into a Kundalini yoga class with me, I would have you stretching your legs, loosening up your spine, your waistline, twist, 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 shoulders. Get these, oh, I love shoulders. Shoulders are so amazing. They try to do everything. And they can't, you know, but they try to react and do things that, nah, they need to just be given a vacation. Just say, okay, stop. I got this. Just relax these shoulders. Move them in a way that helps release the tension that they're holding, that they're blocking the flow of energy that goes from your navel to all your chakras and up to your crown. Shoulders get in the way. Then the neck gets tight. Then nothing can pass through that fifth chakra. No fun. So we start off by opening up the body, moving it, stretching it, doing things that will be sometimes easy, sometimes not, but the body will be so happy when you're done, you know. And we'll teach you some very basic breathing techniques. Long, deep breathing. Sounds like nothing. You'd be surprised when you learn to slow that breath down, when you learn to break that breath into segments. It makes a world of difference. So you learn that. You learn to meditate. Sometimes meditations are very simple, just sitting and breathing in a certain style. Sometimes it's chanting a mantra. And the power of mantra, woo-hoo, woo-hoo, woo-hoo. I can't talk enough about the power of mantra. Mantra, man, mind, tra, frequency. It's that wave. So mantra helps to carry the mind like it's on a wave. Where do you want it to go? I want to do a mantra that's going to stop me from feeling uptight. Okay, here you go. Feeling sad. Here's one. You know, opening up the space for me to understand things that I can't understand. Here's another one. It's a recipe. Just like we have recipes for cookies. We have recipes for making enchiladas, you know. All these recipes, we have them, and they're in there in what we call a Kriya. Kriya, for us, Kriya is a sequence, like a recipe. It is a sequence And when you go from one part to the other in a specific sequence, you can pretty much guarantee you'll have the results that you intended when you started. Now you can mix things up, do whatever you want. You'll still get benefit from that. But if you're trying to head to San Francisco, you keep going over, and I'll visit Texas for a while, I'll go to Arizona, you know, I don't care about Santa Barbara, then I'll go. If you do all of that, you will get there, but it may not be when you want to, or in the time that you want to, you know. So we make these choices all the time as adults. You know, we say, oh, I don't like that. I think I'll do this instead. I'll do it, it's fine. But then don't think that you're gonna arrive at where you, where this Kriya will send you, because chances are you may not. And that's okay. Because just doing something that feels good to you, that's great. I don't know. I think I've answered more than you asked me.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I love it. So going forward, I know that you mentioned that you work with Yogi Bhajan, and that's the teacher that you emulate, I guess. Could you talk to us about Yogi Bhajan, and who is Yogi Bhajan, and how has that work and his work affected you?
Well, that's a big story right now, as there are some things swirling around him and his activity in our organization. But for me, he was a down-to-earth man. He came with no pretensions around him. He had no what they call this sort of a spiritual whatever, where you're floating up there in some fantasy land. There was none of that. Which I appreciated. I don't think I would have been able to study with him if I didn't have someone that was grounded, that was just dealing with things very straight. And he did. He was very boisterous sometimes, and you know, he could be very crude sometimes, and he could be very you know, charming sometimes. And but he came with a mission of having gathered so much knowledge and information as a man growing up in India. And he realized that so much of the information that he was receiving was not being openly shared, because the elders had taught that don't tell everybody about this because they will not be able to appreciate it. You know, I understand that, because sometimes we don't appreciate the things that come from the ancient teachings. We don't appreciate the things that come from the ancestors of this land, those who are the original people. We don't appreciate what they have to say because it doesn't match our commercial upbringing. So, but he went against that and taught us everything. He downloaded as much as he could, and he kept saying to us, you know, I'm just a mailman. I'm just a mailman. You know, don't think I'm anything more than that. Don't put me on a high pedestal. I'm just a mailman. You know, and don't trust your teacher. Never trust your teacher. Never trust your teacher. You know, you have to decide for yourself what's working, what's not working, what is true, what is not true. So for me, he was a groovy guy, you know, and I appreciated his forthrightness, and I appreciated the fact that he didn't butter me up or try to make me feel a certain way, but he just treated me like someone who, if you want this, do it. If you don't, then don't ask me. You know. But he did bring a lot to us, and a lot is still being practiced today all over the world, and deeply, deeply appreciated. So that's the part that I like to relate to. Good. Even though there are stories about transgression that he made while he was here, still, I think he had a lot to offer, and there's a lot that we can continue to learn from, and hopefully we will.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So for somebody who's curious and maybe wants to begin their own Kundalini yoga practice, I know we kind of got into this a little bit ago, you can begin where you are, but what would be a good way to start a personal practice?
I'd say the best way is to go to class, because as a new student of anything, it's good to have a mentor, someone that can guide you through the practice to make sure that you're doing things correctly, to give you feedback if you need it, and encouragement if you need it, and motivation if you need it. So it's good to go to class and to learn learn the way in which things are done and how they're done and why they're done. What is it working on? You know, you can always buy a manual and just go from there on your own, but to have someone giving you that external feedback, I think is important. So I would say that'd be a good way to start. Once you've had a chance to get in with a teacher that you trust, that you feel you can identify with in some way, and you progress along and you decide that you want to not just do it for yourself, but you also want to learn it more deeply, you also may want to help others with it, then there are training courses you can take, of course. We have lots of training courses in this world right now. You can take a training course and learn the fundamentals, the history, the background, the reasoning. You can test yourself by doing something repeatedly. And that's one of the ways that you really master something, is by doing it repeatedly. And that's not something that's unusual, even in our outside culture. If you want to be a dancer, you got to be on that dance floor at least 3 times a week, doing your bar work, you know, or doing whatever to get your body in shape and to get your alignment in shape and to build yourself up to an effect where you understand it and you can manage it, you can let it flow with you. So repetition is a process of learning, and I encourage that. Sometimes if you pick 1 or 2 things and just start with that, that could be very helpful just to get started. Because once you start and you want more, then there's more.
Yeah, beautiful. And there's many people still are not going to classes. Is it just as effective to begin with a teacher online for Kundalini Yoga if someone can't make it to class or doesn't have a class in their area?
Well, I'm smiling because I'm one of those teachers. It wasn't that I wanted to go online. I'm a very personal person. I like doing things face to face. I want to see people's faces. I want to feel their movement. I want to sense their body. I want to feel that connection, you know. But once we had COVID and I could no longer keep my Monday night classes going, I did put them online. And it was awkward at first, just dealing with the technology, but I'm kind of relaxed into it now. And I think we're doing quite well. I try to keep my gallery open so I can see people and I can talk to them, you know, and let them know what they need to be doing differently or whatever, or more of, or, you know, but yeah, I think wherever you go now, if you can get a class online, take a class online. I do a class every Monday night, 7 o'clock. I have a meditation class every Friday at 11:15. I do an early morning practice, which is, we call that Sadhana, because it's more of a sacred time for you to be with your divine, with the God within you, what you hold sacred. During the ambrosial hours, which are the sweetest hours of the day. That's why they call them ambrosial hours. Mm-hmm. It's before the sun comes up. It's that place before the sun comes up when the earth is so still and quiet, you know. And the energy from the sun, even though we can't see the sun, its rays are coming at a level that's perpendicular with the earth's surface. And so it comes right into your heart. Mm-hmm. And so taking advantage of all of those wonderful elements, we can start earlier. Many people start at 3 o'clock. I start at 4:30 because it's easier for most of my students to join there. But yeah, we do start off with a prayer. It's a prayer from the Sikh faith. Start off with this prayer. It's read in Gurumukhi. We do a Kriya for like 40 minutes. We relax and do a meditation that has a series of 7 meditations in it. Each one is for 7 minutes, except for one, which is for 22, and one more, which is for 5. It ends up being about a 62-minute collection of meditations. And that 62 minutes has its own energetic, neurological benefit. Mm. So whatever you do for 62 minutes or 31 minutes or 11 minutes, all those particular numbers has an additional way in which it will serve you to get the benefits. Also for the number of repetitions you do, like if you do, 40 days of something, 90 days of something, 120 days of something, 1,000 days of something, that gives the body a chance to go through its process of regenerating itself, of shedding things, of changing things inside of itself. If you continue with a process for those days, those number of days, you are instituting a shift in your body that will maintain itself. You know, doing it just once is good. You have the experience. Doing it every day for 11 days is even more. 40 days, even more. And those are decisions we have to make. And in our culture, it's not always easy. We're about get in and get out, you know. You know, it's too long, takes too much time. I don't know. Well, and that's fine. I got you on that. But it's a decision that we have to make, and when we make it, we make it. When we don't, we don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some commitment involved there.
To yourself, and that's the important thing. You know, even if a teacher gives you a task to do, it's you who makes the commitment. And you've got to make that commitment based upon you, not on what that teacher said, but on what your heart said, what your soul said, what your intuition said, what your psyche says. Because we have to always take responsibility for our experiences, always take responsibility for what we have decided to do, you know, and that's important in making the changes we want to make in ourselves. You know, we have to own them, say, I'm doing this and I own this, you know, and I'm all for that. I'm all for us really owning what we are doing and taking it as a gift that the divine has given us. It came through this, it came through that. I heard it from here, I heard it from that, whatever. But if you decide, if it connects you in some way and you've decided to take it on, at that point, it's now yours. Nobody else's. And how you choose to deal with that is up to you. It's up to you. But yes, I think teachers are helpful. I love them. So my students are my best teachers. And I'll always bow to them and thank them for what I've learned from them. And I'll always keep learning it and developing it with a lot of devotion and appreciation.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'd really like to know more about, you talked about the Kundalini spiral and raising the Kundalini. And I've heard, I'm sure much of the audience has heard of a Kundalini awakening experience. Can you share, unpack that a little bit about what happens when the Kundalini rises? Or maybe we should even go further back and say, what is that Kundalini energy, and how do you get it to rise, and what happens? What is an awakening the Kundalini experience?
Oh, I know, lots of questions around the Kundalini. It's true, and I almost don't like talking about it, only because people get attached to that. Mm-hmm. They start having a goal to reach with that, and sometimes if you're not working towards that, but just working towards the process of building yourself, finding that balance within yourself, and when that Kundalini rises, waheguru. If it doesn't, keep going, But kundal means a coil, like a lock of energy, a lock of the hair of the beloved, kundal. So that energy that we're speaking about is something that is ignited through the central nervous system, through the spine, basically, starting at the base of the spine. If you look at the system of those subtle nerves, and we call them nerves, but they may be called something else in the medical books, but it's the Ida, Pingala, and Shushmana. And they're like two sides of your central column, where these energies reside. They begin at the base of the spine, and on the left side, you have Ida. On the right side is Pingala. In the center is Shushmana. The Ida and Pingala will move zigzagging like this all the way up to the spine till they reach the crown. The Shushmana, that energy, which is related with the Kundalini energy sits like a coil of energy at the base of the spine. And it just sits there and waits for the energy field to be balanced enough for it to move. And sometimes it'll move a little bit, and then it'll come back down again. Sometimes it'll move shut up, they'll come back down again. It really depends on how your nervous system has been built to sustain the energy, how consistent you are with your practice, and how devoted you are in your reverence to the divine as you see the divine. A lot of it is all those things mixed together. There are things that you can do that if you do them enough, sometimes it will awaken your Kundalini. And the awakening will be that you have all your chakras spinning in the right direction. You have the energy flowing through your spine in a very graceful, beautiful way. And when it reaches your crown, you'll feel this very euphoric space, this place of, wow, you know. And if you're not prepared for it, it could be scary, or it could be a place where you just get so excited that you don't allow it to manifest. Excitement, though it means a lot in our culture, it's not a welcome emotion on the spiritual level, you know, because it takes you away from being zero. It takes you away from being in that place of neutrality and balance. Because when you're there, nothing is exciting. It just all is. We're able to see the yin and yang of things. We're able to see the positive and negative of things. We're able to hold that balance. And when that balance gets really nice and you feel, okay, that's good, but it's static. It's always changing. And that's its job, you know. It's like the sun and the moon, they're always changing. The night and day is always changing. You know, you plant a seed, something will grow, and then it will sprout and it'll die, and something else will grow. There's change, it's always happening. And for us to be able to sit and hold that experience of change and allow it, and without judging it, without wishing it were different, but just being with it as it is, and know that in that moment, that's the divine. That moment is divine. You know, even sometimes if it doesn't feel good at all, if you say, okay, I don't like what I'm feeling, but I know it's you, what do you want? You know, we just have to figure out, what is that attitude? What is that attitude that we want to have that will allow us to move through this life with a sense of clarity and ownership and allowing. And for me, it always comes back to your basic belief. What is your basic belief? What is that belief that you have? It doesn't depend on your teacher, your philosophy, or your this or your that. What is your basic belief? What is that? What is that holds you together? That when all else fails, you can drop into your basic belief and you'll get a clearing. You'll say, okay, at least I can get enough of the emotions out of the way that I can get still enough to figure it out. It's your basic belief, you know, to drop into it. And sometimes it'll be something that was said to you when you were a kid. You know, like mine is what my mother said to me. In fact, my teacher, when I met Yogi Bhajan, he talked like my mother. And I said, I never heard anybody talk like my mother. You know, she said all these things, and I hear he comes saying those same things. You know, I think, how's that possible? But you find out what your basic belief is, and that's your foundation. So I probably wandered off of your question there, but I think the Kundalini gets a lot of publicity, and I know people who have been very discouraged by it and had some very bad experiences. But I don't think they were probably approaching it in the way that would be supportive of their intention. And I think having an intention to raise the Kundalini is probably not the intention that I would suggest anybody walk into a yoga class with. I don't care what kind of yoga class it is. I would just say, don't go there for that. Because that puts your mind somewhere outside of your body, somewhere away from your present moment. And you want to be present with yourself in the moment. You want to allow yourself to gradually grow and expand it and develop sensitivity and balance. And then it'll just sort of happen. So.
Yeah. I feel like this is a really mundane type of question, but but I'm kind of, I just like to know. I see a lot of the Kundalini practitioners wearing white and the headpiece. Is there a particular reason for that? Can you just tell us a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. I think when I was going to the Christian church and people would get very happy in their spirit, they would go out and come back with white on, which I didn't really understand. In Africa, there are those who, when they're having a ceremony or whatever, and someone gets the spirit and they kind of go off, if they go off a little bit, they have some relationship with then they put them in white. What I understand about white is that it is neutral, and that it has a balance of all colors in it. If you were to spin the color wheel, it shows white. So what I understand is that it is a neutral color. And also because it is neutral, it also helps to expand your aura a few feet when you wear white. Every color has its energy. Every color has its frequency. And so we like them. I love them. But if I'm going to be teaching, I want to get myself out of the way. If I'm going to be practicing, I want to get my little self out of the way and let my big self emerge. So it's really more about that than anything else. And most people that I know don't wear it all the time, but at certain times when you want to create a sense of neutrality, it's what people will wear, and suggest that you wear as a teacher, just so that you can get out of the way. The head covering is very interesting because the style of the head covering was something that we created ourselves. The idea was, and you've probably seen pictures of yogis who have had their hair growing the full length, right? Because there's a lot of energy in the hair. And so the idea is don't cut the hair, because that's where your Kundalini is hair, that Kundalini energy is also found in your hair. So the idea is to just not cut it. So then they have to wrap it somewhere to get out of the way. So they wrap it in a circle and put it on their crown of their head. They call that the Rishi knot, right? The crown of the head, where they put their hair up there. Now, this is not every system and every body, but that's part of what this relates to. So then covering it, you can cover it with whatever you want to cover it with, a beanie, a doily, whatever, just to keep it steady and also to filter the energy that's coming through. The hair attracts a lot of energy, and you want to contain that by putting it together, winding it up, putting it on top of your head, right at the crown, so that all the good energy that you're trying to raise to the crown can have your energy from your hair also there to support it. This style here that I'm wearing, I was wearing maybe 4 years before I even heard of Kundalini yoga. It was because it was an African style. And when I was in New York and I was making my own clothes, I would have this big piece of fabric left over, and I would just throw it around my head, And so I just never stopped doing it. And others began to pick up a little bit on it and find their own versions of it and so forth.
All right. Thank you for sharing about that. It's really, it's interesting, and I've just never asked anyone. So I appreciate you answering that.
Well, I'm glad that you asked me, and I hope that it's good for you. I would say a couple more things to you about this style here, that there are these pressure points here, you're trying to think of something and say, what was that? What was that? We just automatically just hit this spot. There are pressure points here, right? Near these nodules here, pressure points here. And so if you can put this tight around here, you add pressure there, it helps to kind of supposedly keep your mind a little more steady.
Yeah.
We'll see, that's one of the things that is said about this style.
Oh, I love that. That's really good to know. A little biohacking for head wraps.
Yeah.
Well, if you are open to it, I would love to have you guide a meditation now. Are you in a good space for that?
I'm in a great space for it, and I was looking for one today to show and to share here, and I found one in our training book. It's called Composite Polarity Mudra Meditation.
Okay.
Composite Polarity Mudra Meditation. I'll show you. I don't know if you can see it up here now, but
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So, uh, so what you're doing with this meditation here is you're really trying to bring the relationship between the heart and the arc line together. The arc line is that part of your halo that goes from earlobe to earlobe, okay, which is the most pronounced part of your aura altogether, earlobe to earlobe. So we're bringing that together with this particular meditation. It'll be using also the polarity of the way your hands are. So your hands will be like facing out. You lock your thumbs together, and then your right hand will come down so that it is parallel to the floor, while the left hand stays up. Okay, that's the mudra. That's the hand position. Keeping the hands straight, keeping the fingers straight is an important part of the mudra. Okay, so once you have that position, you bring the hands down to the level of your navel point, between the navel and the heart. Okay, the hands are there. Your eyes are going to be almost all the way closed. It'll be open like 1/10, like you just barely can see out of the base of your eyes, right? Right. And you're looking down. Your arms are going to be relaxed, and you're going to breathe in a very simple breath through your nose. And when you breathe in, try to breathe in down by your ribs. So you're inhaling from there. When you get a full breath in, hold the breath for as long as you can comfortably. Just extend the breath. Don't add tension to your neck, your shoulders, or your chest, or your heart. When you have to exhale, the exhale starts from the bottom, the exhale starts from the bottom. Exhale slowly through your nose. And when you exhale all the breath out through your nose, and hold the breath out as long as you can comfortably. When you have to inhale, inhale again through your nose. And continue. I'm going to set my timer for 11 minutes. With this meditation, you are just subtly commanding your brain. Your right hand activates the Pingala energy. Your left hand activates the Ida energy. Your thumbs crossed. The thumbs are like your ego, the I. So you're bringing those together, and you're uniting the energies from both your left and your right hand. If you continue the breath, you'll notice that or you may not, but it will help your heart, your arc line, to find balance. They work so well together, but sometimes things get in the way. Your breath rhythm will help to strengthen your heart. Just holding the breath out gently, and then breathing it in as a long, slow, deep breath, and then holding it there. You'll find that there's a little rhythm that you're having with that. Try not to be tense. You may feel some sensation at the base of your skull, but just focus on the breath. That's all you want to do. The breath controls mind. The breath controls emotions. Your breath affects your vagus pulse. The vagal nerve moves from the cranium down into the lower part of your abdomen. It's kind of the place around the area close to it where the Kundalini rests coiled. And it sits there until it is activated through the breath to slowly uncoil itself. I refer to it as a serpent energy. You want to just tune into your breath. You just say to yourself, I'm breathing in. And I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in. And I'm breathing out. If you have a mantra you want to say, you can say it mentally. You have an affirmation that's short. Affirm it. We use the sound of Sat. Sat means truth. Your true identity, your true being, your true nature. That means your divine being, your divine self, your divine nature. Nam. We meditate on Nam as you exhale. Nam is the activation of that true. Nam is a frequency. Nam is a vibration. Sat is the truth, your true identity. Nam is how you manifest that. Stay with it. Go deep. Have no expectations. Wherever you are is perfect. Whatever you're able to do is perfect. Stay relaxed. Just breathe. If you're able to lengthen the breath a little bit more and hold the breath in and out a little bit more, feel free to do so. Final 2 minutes. Beautiful. Now take a deep breath in wherever you are in your breathing. Take a deep breath in. Suspend the breath. Hold the breath without any tension in your body. Just let it float, but hold steady. Don't breathe out. Just hold the breath in. And now breathe out. Breathe in again and stretch your arms up and open and close your fingers. Breathe in. Close your fingers, open and close. Shake them out. Stretch up. Exhale and relax. Shake your shoulders a little bit. Now that's a kind of an advanced meditation, but as beginners, you can start it and do it whatever length of time you can. But repetition is what makes it powerful, makes it beautiful. So hopefully you can get a chance to do this again and share it with someone else.
Wow, thank you. I think I about popped out of my body there.
Yes, for those who are used to meditating doing these kinds of practices, you'll drop into it right away and you'll experience it right away. So
Yeah, that was lovely. I love doing breath work, and I have this experience of geometry, I guess is the best way I can explain it. But right away that started to happen. I'm like, wait, I better not go too far. I need to finish out this interview. Got to be
yeah,
able to get back.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, that was really beautiful, Krishna. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this whole experience of just getting to know you and your journey and understanding Kundalini yoga more. So I just appreciate so much everything you've shared. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
So many I have. I would just say that what you're doing is beautiful. And let's just keep looking and ways that we can help to elevate each other. There's a lot going on right now. We want to keep healthy. And the breath is one of the most important things right now, because what we're dealing with COVID is a lung issue. But even beyond that, just to keep our breath moving and keep each other moving, I think it'll be wonderful. So just remember who you are. Never forget that you're something special. And no matter what comes to you, you can manage it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there.
Mm. Yeah.
But,
Yes. Thank you so much. This is really what this is all about. It's about community. It's about having everyone understand and know that we're doing this together, and we're all in this journey together, and we're all doing it so many different ways. And that's what I love about sharing all of these different practitioners and leaders of the spiritual movements. It's just lovely to see how many ways there are to connect and go deeper and become more present. So thank you for sharing with us today. Everyone who's watching, thank you for watching. I appreciate you all so much. Be sure to visit our Facebook page, and I'll have the link to that in there. And let us know, how was that breath work, that meditation for you? What did you experience? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Whatever you want to share about the whole conversation, I'd love to hear more. So with that, I'll go ahead and sign off, and namaste, everybody.
no. I like to invite people to come to my class if you haven't already said that, right?
Yeah.
So I just love to see you wherever you're coming from in the world. My Monday night class, and the connection is on my website, krishnakaur.org, and my meditation on Friday is so sweet. We meditate for at least 31 minutes on Friday. So come and join me anytime. I would just love to be with you and share with you more.
Definitely. And we'll have a link to that attached to the speaker page as well, so everyone can find that really easily. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Sheila. It's a pleasure being with you. God bless you.
You too. Thank you, Krishna. Bless you.